Hi, in this video, I'll tell you about the 1977 film, The Last Cannibal World. It tells the story of a group of people who board a plane and are stranded on an island. The island turns out to be home to the world's last cannibal tribe. They must survive there with great difficulty. Before continuing, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications. The film begins with a group of four: Charles, Swan, Rolf, and Robert. On the plane, they enjoy the journey and appear relaxed. We learn that they are heading to Borneo or Kalimantan Island for an adventure together. Unfortunately, the plane they are on lands on a steep slope, causing damage to the engine and wheels.
Of your seat belts.
They land right where their friends, Wielingsky and Roland, are camping. However, after searching, it turns out that no one is there. Even the tents that were set up appear abandoned. They also find a traditional weapon covered in blood. Robert becomes concerned about the well-being of his two friends, and recklessly, he ventured deeper into the forest.
Yes. That's if they had worse than natives.
Seeing Robert's reckless actions, Rolf immediately followed him to prevent any untoward incidents. However, they found a corpse with a mangled face, leaving the body unknown.
Charlie! Wait.
Rolf, who had knowledge of their location, suggested that where they were, there might be the last surviving cannibal tribe in the world. Therefore, they decided to remain vigilant. But in the middle of the night, Swan needed to pee. She exited the plane where they were resting. Shortly afterward, they heard her scream.
Drink. But they're out of the Stone Age. And they're also... They're going to the jungle at night. No.
Charlie tried to help, but Robert and Rolf forbade her from leaving, considering it too dangerous. When morning came, they ventured out to look for Swan. However, Carly accidentally stepped on a trap set by the cannibals. Carl was killed by the trap. Robert and Rolf were forced to leave the dead Charlie behind. They continued their search for Swan. But suddenly, Robert smelled the smell of grilled meat. After searching for the source of the smell, he discovered the swan had been roasted, and its body had been dismembered and eaten by the cannibals. Rolf and Robert then slowly left the area, fearing they would be eaten by the cannibals. They arrived at a river. They built a raft to navigate the river, which they assumed would be the same route back to the plane. However, the rapids became increasingly extreme. They reached a steep river. Their raft was carried away by the current. Luckily, Robert was able to swim and climb onto a rock. However, Rolf was lost in the current.
Hang on! We're caught in the
Robert then returned to land via a forest path. On the way, Robert became hungry and ate a wild mushroom. Unfortunately, the mushroom he ate was poisonous. Robert was poisoned and passed out. When Robert awoke, he was surrounded by a large tribe of cannibals. Robert was captured and taken to the cannibals' residence. There, Robert's clothes were torn off and his skin was stripped. Robert's magic wand was held in his hand, and Robert was considered something strange, like a bird. He was also thought to have the ability to fly like a bird. After passing out, Robert was put in a cage, along with game caught by the cannibals. From inside the cage, Robert witnessed the cannibals' sadistic actions. He saw one of the cannibals being killed by his own tribe. They waited for the flesh to rot, then ate it. That night, a beautiful cannibal girl came to see Robert. A hungry Robert asked for food. However, because the woman didn't understand what Robert meant, she misunderstood. The girl approached Robert not to offer him food, but to shake his wand. Despite his hunger, Robert resigned himself to the pleasure of being shaken. Shortly afterward, the cannibal children arrived and threw stones at Robert. Robert then used sign language. He tried to entertain the cannibal children with hand gestures, trying to cheer them up. After the children had become friendly enough with Robert, he asked for a drink of water. He was given some to quench his thirst, but before he could drink, adult cannibals arrived, spilled Robert's water, and beat him. Robert was forced to drink water dripping from rocks and eat raw meat from the cannibals' kills to survive. Robert wondered what the cannibals were planning to do to him. He saw the cannibals carrying an eagle, which was in the same cage as him. The bird was used as crocodile bait. After the crocodile ate the bait, it was then caught for food. Robert then thought that perhaps his fate would be the same as the eagle's. He was imprisoned in the same place as the bird that had been used as crocodile bait. Robert then thought of a way to escape, pretending to be dead from starvation. The cannibals, seeing Robert lying motionless, truly thought he was dead. Several of them entered the cage to investigate. Robert then used a nearby rock to hit and kill the cannibals who came. After escaping the cage, Robert saw a cannibal trying to cultivate crops. Robert then struck the cannibal from behind, then took the woman away to use as a guide. Robert then looked for a river to drink water, but he accidentally saw a cannibal mother giving birth, and cruelly, after the baby was born, the mother threw it into the river. Naturally, the crocodile, seeing the abandoned baby, was immediately attracted to it and approached to eat it. While Robert was bathing and cleaning himself in the river, the cannibal girl took the opportunity to escape. Robert, realizing his captive had escaped, immediately rushed after her. Robert managed to recapture her and beat her for trying to escape. Seeing the beautiful cannibal girl lying helpless, Robert couldn't resist the urge. He then began to carry out forced cultivation there. After being satisfied with Robert's forced cultivation, the cannibal girl actually enjoyed it and became close to Robert. She even found Robert fruit and fish while Robert slept. Shortly afterward, heavy rain poured down on the forest. Robert and the girl went into a cave for shelter. Inside the cave, Robert was suddenly attacked by someone in the darkness. However, it turned out to be Rolf, who had been separated from Robert when he was swept away by the river current. The three of them eventually made the cave their temporary home. Robert saw that Rolf was no longer able to walk properly due to tetanus after being injured after being swept away by
realize
the
our
river.
lives depend on the plan. Not bad.
We've got to keep our wits about us to survive.
The girl ran away the next day after hearing a strange sound, but Rolf and Robert knew it was a helicopter, probably searching for them. Robert chased the helicopter as it flew away, screaming for help. he claimed they were still in the forest and alive. But because the forest was so dense, the helicopter didn't see or hear Robert's voice, so it left, abandoning the search.
Here! Down here! Hey, down here!
They then used a log to swim faster across the river. The plane they were on likely flowed in the same direction as the river they were currently exploring, but after a short swim, the crocodiles immediately chased them. The three of them panicked and tried with all their might to get away from the crocodiles. Finally, they managed to survive and were discouraged from swimming in the river. But the forest is indeed not a suitable place for city people. After escaping the crocodiles, Robert entered a snake's den, but Rolf, experienced in survival, caught the poisonous snake and used its venom to lubricate wooden sticks, which they used as weapons against the cannibals. After a long journey through the jungle, they finally found the runway they were using to land their plane. However, it turned out that the cannibals had been waiting for Robert. As Robert was about to head towards the plane, they were ambushed by the cannibals. The girl was beaten unconscious, and Robert's chest was impaled by a spear. The girl's head was cut off. Then her body was cut into pieces and burned. Once cooked, it was ready to be served. Robert continued on his journey, reluctantly losing the girl to the cannibals. Soon the cannibals caught up with Robert. Robert engaged the tribal chief in a one-on-one mechanical duel, eventually winning by using a stick previously smeared with snake venom. The other cannibals remained on guard, waiting to attack Robert. Realizing this, Robert showed his fearsome presence. Robert cut open the body of the defeated cannibal chief, then removed his heart and ate it. The cannibals, shocked and afraid to approach, continued to watch from a distance. Robert then continued his journey, carrying Rolf, who was beginning to lose consciousness. The cannibals watched from a distance and slowly followed. Robert made it to the plane. He then tried to start the engine. At first, it was very difficult to start, but after several attempts, the plane finally started. Robert and Rolf were finally able to return to their home country. Then the film finally ended.